Apparently people like listening to me yap about random things for an extended period of time, so what better excuse do I have to talk about all of the characters of one of my favourite games of all time than to do another bloody ranking video. To avoid the video being really long, I'm gonna be splitting this into two, starting off with the plants, because they're the first in the title. However, this isn't gonna be your bog standard tier list, where I rank how competitively viable every character is in the Garden Warfare 2 metagame. Everyone's done one of those. Instead, I've got a whole system with multiple categories and everything. How handsome I think they are, how good at their job I think they are, how creative of a concept I think they are, and how much I want to bludgeon them with a metal bar. These 4 categories will be marked out of 25 and then added together, giving each character a score out of 100. Also, don't take this video too seriously. It's basically just an excuse for me to yap about a game I like for an hour straight, rather than a serious ranking video. This deflects me from all criticism, yeah! Anyway. So what is my least favourite plant in Garden Warfare 2? The most ugly, creatively bankrupt, rage-inducing jobber out of the entirety of Crazy Dave's car boot sale, Twilight Chomper. The only reason this character even exists is to monetize the fact that the Unicorn Chomper can't even be legally obtained anymore, so Jonathan Garden Warfare 2 player can get to his max rank. The Twilight Chomper literally just looks identical to the Unicorn Chomper, but slathered in blue food colouring. Didn't know they had #1 Chomper enjoyer 358 on PopCap's payroll, with his Sonic the Hedgehog recolor OC. Has the same vibes as the multicoloured Marios on SMG4. There are 0 cosmetic differences between Unicorn and Twilight Chomper, other than their coloration. So for being a cheap, lazy, recolored knockoff, you get 0 points in appearance. So how good is this blue horse to actually use? Is it worth the £6? No. I mean, for Chomper standards, it's probably one of the better ones. But it's a Chomper, a character that runs around biting people in a game where the entire enemy team has a gun. Isn't gonna be that good, is it? However, unlike other Chompers, the Twilight Chomper has a trick up its sloppily recolored sleeves, the Twilight Warp. This warp slingshots you halfway across the entire continent, allowing Twilight Chomper the niche of warping into enemy fire, killing someone most of the time, and then dying instantly, which, whilst all Chompers can do, this is the one that does it the fastest. Also, for some reason, they gave it the same base speed as the Hot Rod Chomper and a slower but stronger bite. It seems like they just put all the Unicorn Chomper's stats into a tumble dryer. Yeah, can I get a Chomper with a stronger bite, lower rate of fire, only 1 warp, but make it a large, not too much HP, and make it quick? So for that, it gets a viability score of 11. As for creativity, there isn't any. Again, the sole reason this thing exists is to monetize the Unicorn Chomper erasure. They're monetizing a problem that they created instead of just letting people import it in. I mean, when it first came out, you could do a community challenge thing to get it, but that was 6 years ago at this point. Yeah, people are struggling to get a limited time character. Oh no, we'll make a limited time character as an alternative. But don't worry, you can always cough up some dough. How else are we gonna fund the fentanyl we take before making the balancing patch notes? So for creativity, another 0. No creativity to be seen. Even the quote-unquote custom ability is just 2 Unicorn Chomper warps glued together. A warp that, unlike its prestigious counterpart, doesn't give any invincibility frames whilst you're using it. They just forgot. Because this is a scuffed character. Not even the render is done right. Like, look at it. It's just off. Looks like something the janitor at PopCap Vancouver scrounged up in half an hour. And finally, tolerability. It's a character that insta-kills you when you get close to it, that can teleport to you in half a second. If you've gained the ire of one of these things, you are not having a good time. That thing will be back again and again, like throwing a boomerang that will stick you in a bear trap if you don't catch it. A third 0 in tolerability with a total score of a whopping 11. They gave us this instead of Torchwood and Hovergoat variants. Also, a bit of a tangent, but am I the only one who feels like the Twilight Chomper was a warning, a foreboding harbinger of death, a sign of times to come? Because the instant they added this thing, the entire franchise seemed to just nosedive into mediocrity. Think about it. The biggest outrage in a pre-Twilight Chomper world was when they made us pay £3 for the squash. This character is an unpolished, rehashed version of a pre-existing creation. Now where have I heard that before? The Twilight Chomper was a look into the bleak future of the Plants vs. Zombies franchise, a churned up husk only created out of a drive for profit. No love in that black heart of the Twilight Chomper. And for being the first domino to topple in the most depressing chain reaction in the franchise, cements the Twilight Chomper as the worst plant. Actually, no, the worst character in this game. No zombie is sinking this deep. Party Rose. The party characters have always been so weird to me. Why does King Nomus have 1980s alcoholics locked away in his cabinet? Apparently it's because they partied so hard they ripped a hole in the space-time continuum, took 29 ibuprofens, and ended up in the gnome dimension. Anyway, appearance-wise, Party Rose and really all the party characters, to be honest, look unpleasant. The only thing I like about this design is the funny little glow ring she has on her. Literally has police tape wrapped around her head for how much of a visual crime this thing's color scheme is. 5 in appearance. Viability, worst Rose. I don't think that's a controversial opinion. Unlike almost every other party character, which are basically just the normal character with one minor downside and a legendary meter, Party Rose has multiple major downsides. She has less damage and 2 less ammo. But don't worry guys, if you somehow manage to scrounge up 5 consecutive kills with this inferior orange tulip, you get to hit 1 more point of damage than the normal Rose for 30 seconds. 7 in viability. Creativity? Yeah, just take the Rose's weapon, make it pink, add a bit of confetti, and make it worse. Don't forget to slap on the legendary meter, a perfect reward for 2 rounds of running around vehicular homiciding a load of lawn ornaments. If you even get it, that is. 3 in creativity. As for tolerability, I don't like Rose. Just in general, fighting them is so annoying and boring. They just sit in one space, jumping around in a circle like a vertical flail, and entering the ability that makes you invincible and run away, and sometimes give you 35 health back to go and hide behind enemy lines. Not to mention the 2 stun abilities that this thing can use. Get near one of these things and flip a coin whether you'll be grabbed by red time-stopping ribbons or turned into a farm animal. It is slightly more tolerable than the other Roses though, solely because when I see this garish color vomit appear on the screen, I can't help but laugh in pity. A 7 for that, and a whopping 22 points overall. 2 variants in, and the script's already over 1,000 words long. It's gonna be a long ass video. Toxic Chomper. Yeah, a lot of the bottom of this list is just gonna be chompers. I'm sorry. So Toxic Chomper, much like most of the elemental variants in this game, are just the normal one, but with a funny shader on it. Like this one is just the Chomper if it was green and emitted toxic radiation. but I do quite like the green shader they use on it. Makes it look like it's made out of sludge, so a 10 in appearance. Viability-wise, it's just the Fire Chomper, but slightly worse, because toxic damage is just fire damage, but slightly worse. Would you rather do 2 damage per second or 5? That's the choice you have to make when picking this or Fire Chomper. Oh, but you could go near people and they take damage. Yeah, every Chomper could go near people and deal damage. Oh, but you could also damage people in burrow. You could probably do something a bit more helpful with burrow. So for it not only being a Chomper, but a worse version of an existing Chomper, it gets a free. Alright guys, what if, you know the Fire Chomper, right? It breathes fire. The Toxic Chomper, green. 5 in creativity, because at least the spray is different to a bite. Toxic Chomper is not very tolerable because it's a Chomper, and dying to a Chomper is kind of annoying. And Chompers in general are just designed to piss people off. And I'm a people, and I'm being pissed. So it just generally gets a low score of 4, with 22 points overall. Much like Party Rose. The two are pretty interchangeable, but I think the Toxic Chomper looks better because it's green, so it gets put higher. 3 segments in, and there's already a massive flaw with this system. Anyway, Power Chomper. Oh look, another Chompula. The Power Chomper is the normal Chomper, but blue.
What is wrong with
it used to be purple, so you're getting points docked for purple erasure, so another 10 for you.
Power Chomper's like 4... I don't know. Is this a fucking spray Chomper? Who cares?
Okay, guys. What if the Toxic Chomper, it breathes green, right? The Power Chomper could breathe turquoise. The electric chain damage is barely even helpful on this thing. 4. And tolerability 5, because it's a Chomper. So that's a score of 23 for the Power Chomper. I've got quite a lot to say about the Torchwood. Appearance-wise, it looks like a turd with a delusion of grandeur. Thinks he's so tough with his Gatling gun hand and his flaming scalp. Looks like a bloody Battle for Dream Island OC. Also, it's not even an original design. They just shrunk down the boss a bit.
That's a little version of me, Alan. I want you to have it.
I don't really want this.
I mean, I'll take it if you don't want it, Alan.
How lazy is that? This is literally what I did to the bloody squash in a half-rate game modification, except this time by a AAA company. They literally trialed us for this. So you get an 8 in appearance, Torchwood. And that's me being generous. As for its viability, the Torchwood is an anomaly. On the one hand, it has 275 hit points, can incinerate even the strongest zombies in seconds, has a shield that halves all damage to it, and can enter blue mode and spray fire damage on everything in its general direction. But it also just gets clowned on constantly. And because in 2025 half the zombie team is comprised of just foot soldiers, most time spent playing Torchwood will just be minding your own business until a fat missile turns you into a pile of wood chips. I dodge one missile just to instantly get shot by another. You can tank a ZPG if you use Leaf Shield, but there's still half your health gone immediately. And my god, do not bother using this thing if there is an Arctic Trooper on the enemy team. You just can't do anything. However, if you had like 4 or 5 Torchwoods on a single team, then I don't know if the zombies would be able to deal with it, since this character is basically just a Z-mech with no cooldown. So it gets a 12 in viability, can be good in the right circumstances, but usually just fodder for an 11-year-old's jump shot montage. Creativity. They shrunk down a boss. Playable bosses online in Garden Warfare 2. Download in the sewers. The only thing that the Torchwood can do that the Giga Torchwood cannot do is the Leaf Shield. Giga Torchwood can also breathe fire and turn blue. The only unique idea this class has is some leaves. So a 5 in creativity. Tolerability. What do you honestly think my opinion of the tolerability of Torchwood is, I feel nothing but malice and misery whenever I lay eyes upon this thing. And it's not only a pain to fight, if you want a fucking foot soldier, this thing is just a pain to play as well. -1 in tolerability. Take your 24 points and get out of my sight. Also, the reason my level is 46 with no rank plate background is because I tried to add a rank above master and just broke it. So now my characters just have no rank. Count Chompula. Back to the Chompers again. Why are there so many of them? Some might say it has loads of variants. Damn, I actually like shed a tear then. Fucking hell. I need to calm down. Its design is odd. I don't know. It's supposed to be this vampire thing, but it's just blood red and covered in veins and has erect head spikes. Ain't getting Dracula vibes from this. The only vampiric thing about him is his 2 slightly pointier teeth. Telling me this thing is a count. How did Count Chompula get a title of nobility? This thing is about as vampiric as a decorative egg. Still, I like its ominous red glow. That's kind of funny, and I like how its attacking sound is just someone punching an organ, so it gets an 8. Viability, this thing sucks. Even for Chomper standards. Like, yeah, it gets health back when it swallows a zombie, but that just means he's hit with the 25 less health tax. I love it when my mobility-less melee range character has the same health pool as the bloody corn. The problem is that you have to actually wait to fully swallow a zombie to get health back. Notice the distinct lack of footage of this going off because it never bloody happened. Like, my god, man. Let a guy finish his succulent meal before shooting him in the head with your little purple pellet. So you're basically just playing as a default Chomper with less health. And guess what? They added an ability called the Vampire Spikeweed, which does what Count Chompula does, but stuns the zombie in place and activates the second they stand on a spikeweed. Any Chomper can use this, but who's gonna use Count Chompula? You get a 1. It sucks that the Count Chompula is horrendous because it's actually a pretty cool concept having a Chomper that gets health back from eating zombies. 10 in creativity. Should have just made it get health back from biting zombies as well. As for its tolerability, it's a Chomper, so it gets a 5. 24 overall. Fire Pea. Fire Pea's design is the Pea Shooter, but on fire and bold. It also has an unused body model that I guess the developers forgot that they had, so it just uses the normal Pea Shooter body. Just looks like someone poured a bottle of Don Mio creamy tomato on him, so it gets an 8. The Fire Pea does have a niche use in the Pea Shooter pantheon. Fire variants in general are good at harassing corner peekers. Send them a fireball and they'll cower in fear in the corner whilst they slowly burn to death. Also a guaranteed 25 damage from lightly tapping someone barely in the range of its splash damage is kind of funny, even if it does have a lower splash radius. So 11. The Fire Pea's gimmick isn't creative at all. They made the Pea Shooter's primary weapon slightly more bins and added a debuff to the projectile. 2. Tolerability. It's a Pea Shooter, who are notorious for jumping around constantly and raining down peas that deal a generous amount of splash damage. And it's a fire variant, so you'll be burning in agony whilst this is going on, even if you manage to fend off the Fire Pea. If you ain't above 25 health, you just have to sit there and wait to die. 6 in tolerability, 27 overall. Also, the Fire Pea is one of the only Garden Warfare 2 characters to be confirmed to be a father. Rock Pea. This thing looks less like a rock and more like a dried clump of fecal matter. 0! As for its viability, it moves slower on a class whose main defining trait is being fast. But don't worry guys, it has 25 more hit points, which actually gives it a unique use to spam pea gatling, since the damage resistance from it gives it an effective 240 hit points, if I've done the maths right, which would be good if you didn't get instantly blasted by a ZPG within 3 seconds of activating it. Also, why the hell does it deal less damage than the normal Pea Shooter? Why do actual rocks hit less hard than peas? Why do its projectiles just inherit your momentum? He's like the only plant to do this. What? This character is so weird. Why are you the way you are? He's still a Pea Shooter, which is like probably the best plant character in the game, so a 6 in viability, only being carried by the family name, the Nepo child of the Pea Shooters. Creativity-wise, it's an incoherent mess. It had a gimmick where it would knock back enemies if they were in the air, which sounds funny, but notice how I said had, because they removed it. You removed the one thing that this variant had, other than the janky momentum thing that makes your projectiles veer off. Only character in this game able to get a gutter ball. Also, why does he produce 2 separate numbers when he lands a shot? Do you know what you have to do to fix this with mods? Tick a box. They did not care about the Rock Pea, and for that, this short-slavered stone gets a 0 in creativity. However, due to this variant being a walking pile of dog muck, it doesn't really tick me off that much. Its existence is extremely pathetic. No one even uses this thing. It's like seeing an actual cryptid whenever one shows up. So that gives the Rock Pea a tolerability score of 21 and a total of 27. I'm only putting it above the Fire Pea because I feel sorry for it, only avoiding the bottom 3 because of how pitiful it is. Power Flower. Am I the only person who likes the Garden Warfare 1 designs for the power characters more, mostly? They looked a lot more foreboding and powerful in that game, with its bright petals and neon white eyes. Looks like it's about to send me a death threat. And in Garden Warfare 2, they just made all of them blue. Still looks alright, but only a 6 in appearance for the loss. Power Flower is the normal sunflower, but slightly worse and with an electric chain effect. The electric gimmick's kind of mediocre, to be honest. Sunflowers are still a really good class though, because no matter what variant you use, you can always just drag a better character back from the dead in like 2 seconds and make the zombies fight the same guy over and over again, so it gets a 10. Creativity, again, same weapon but blue. 2 points. As for its tolerability, sunflowers are an odd case. On the one hand, they have fat head hitboxes, so die pretty fast. But on the other hand, they have self-healing, can resurrect and heal more annoying characters, and when they start grouping together, they can be horrible. They also have the sunbeam. But the second you enter that, you just get pulped by a foot soldier's rocket anyway. Most of the time. 10 in tolerability and 28 overall. Chomper, the first stock character on this list, if you don't count him, and of course it's gotta be the Chomper. The way I judge the design of the stock characters will be a bit different to how I judge the variants, since I'm judging them by themselves, and not in comparison to the other Chompers. And the Chomper's design is just iconic, replicated the PVZ1 style pretty much perfectly. It encapsulates that "this will be PVZ graphics in 2014 aesthetic" that the Garden Warfare games have pretty well, and he just looks like an upstanding chap, 20 in appearance. Sadly, every other thing about the Chomper isn't very up to standards. The Chomper sucks at what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to sneak around the map and swallow people whole, but instead, because of how horribly they designed it, the best role it has is just harassment. Like, the only way this thing is doing numbers on the Vanquish board is if the zombies are being bullied. If the enemy is more than 3 feet away from you, then the only thing you can do is just spit on them. Burrow is a very powerful ability, but most of the time it's just a death sentence. So it's really best for just skedaddling out of one of the many horrible situations you'll find yourself in. And Spikeweed is obviously very powerful too, but this entire class is countered by a slight difference in elevation, so it gets a 1 in viability. Chomper is one of, if not the most horribly designed class in this game. Let's look at his abilities. We got Goop, which can stun people. We got Spikeweed, which can stun people. 2 abilities that stun people. Being in a firefight and getting gooped by some random fucking Chomper is genuinely one of the most frustrating things in this game. That's its whole niche. It's just gluing people in place so other people can kill it. How have you turned this assassin character into a fucking glorified support class? And then Burrow, which turns you invincible and allows you to get a free kill on anyone unfortunate enough to be touching the floor. Why would they make an ability like this? And sometimes you can just snag them out of the air. However, it leaves you so horrifically vulnerable that it also gives the zombies a free kill. So most of the time, it just accomplishes nothing except setting you and one unlucky guy back to the spawn. And it's hard to sneak up on someone when you have a giant fucking icon above your head that tells the zombies exactly where you are. Also, the back chomp mechanic is so ass. I'd rather just bite people to death in 95% of bites. But sorry buddy, you were standing at a 45-degree angle to the zombie's ass. So now you have to sit there and do a long ass animation whilst getting gunned down in the streets of Zombopolis. Free in creativity. The Chomper deserves better than this travesty. As for tolerability, I think I've made my stance on how annoying Chompers are, considering they're literally designed to be a hindrance and nothing else. Unfun to fight and unfun to play. So it gets a 5 and 29 overall. Fire flower. The fire flower is a flower that is on fire. Just like her dad, pretty much what you would expect. So you know what? 10 in appearance. The fire flower's main use is spraying fire damage all over the zombies. Fire damage characters that fire fast are going to be good because you literally have to hit the zombie with a single pellet and that's it. There goes 25 health. Not only that, but the sunflower is one of the few things in this game that can actually remove fire damage. 15 in viability.
I've literally just noticed this, but what the hell is up with this scaredy shroom? Why is he being upvoted?
As for its creativity, you know what I'm about to say. Sunflower primary, but a bit worse and with fire damage. How groundbreaking. 2. It's genuinely so obnoxious that they could just look in your general direction and spray you with fire pellets. Combining the fact that it can remove your own fire damage and revive and heal other plants, it can be really frustrating in the right circumstances. So it gets a 3 and a score of 30. Berry Shooter. So this character solely exists to promote Aquafina. So he didn't even come back in Garden Warfare 2. Kind of. Getting footage for the Fire Pea was kind of hard, considering that there was literally no one on this game when I was recording this. Like, not a single other soul was playing Garden Warfare 1. So enjoy this footage of me running around the desert firing berries at mech trucks. The berry shooter is blue, like one of them berries, and covered in berries. I have not much to say about this design other than the fact I would not even know that this was a cross promotion. I do not look at this blue thing covered in fruit and go, yeah, I could really go for a nice bottle of Aquafina flavor splash right now. 10 in appearance. The berry shooter is what I like to call a massive crutch. It is inferior to the Pea Shooter in literally every conceivable way, other than the fact that it deals 5 more splash damage. Wait, it has a lower splash radius? What's even the point then? Now this sounds exactly like the Rock Pea, who also has higher splash damage with a lower splash radius. So basically, the Rock Pea is just a berry pea that fell in a cow pat. Also, because it's Garden Warfare 1, when you aren't in a dead barren wasteland, the enemy team composition is usually just like 60% foot soldiers, most of which being super commando, and I don't think this berry slinging 42 damage per second advertisement is doing well against something that deals 88 damage in half a second. So only a 6 in viability for you. As for how creative the Berry Pea's gimmick was, it just does more splash damage and that's it. However, the old Aquafina flavor splash character dealing more splash damage. That's kinda clever. So you get a couple extra points for that, you fruity little man. But still only 4. As for tolerability, I can barely remember fighting Berry Peas in this game because I was more focused on my year 6 sats at the time. But a Pea Shooter that deals more splash damage sounds slightly more annoying, is what I would say if they didn't nerf the hell out of it. No wonder why Aquafina pulled out of that deal in Garden Warfare 2. The only thing this thing is promoting is the max rank Camo Ranger's Vanquish streak. 10 in tolerability and 30 overall. Oh, Armor Chomper, Armor Chomper, Armor Chomper, what have they done to you? Of all the busted and broken things in this game, the Armor Chomper is something that needed to be nerfed 2 times. Something they didn't nerf was his appearance, because he looks really cool. He's this Chomper coated in segmented metal armor, making creaking sounds whenever he walks. Needs a bit of WD-40. It's a shame he's complete doo-doo because his appearance gets a solid 20 points. The Armor Chomper is a genuine contender for the worst character in the game. He is a melee-only character that moves slower than everything else in the game. He is the only Chomper I would ever use super sticky goop on to actually be able to catch up with the zombies.
However, by the time you've caught up to them, they're just dead on the floor!
I know that gooping people is good for support and helps the team, but firstly, you could just use any other Chomper for that, and secondly, I want to kill him! Me! Not you! I need to hear that ding, otherwise what is the point of even being alive? And because it's so slow, you just get bullied by groups of zombies. Sure, you can two-shot scientists, but good luck getting to them. The Armor Chomper gets a viability score of -1. Horrible character. Glad the Armor Chomper got nerfed twice, whilst Agent Peas are running around with 150 DPS. Game's about as balanced as the global distribution of wealth. What a pointless platinum-plated piranha plant. A high-damage, slow-moving Chomper with increased health is a cool concept on paper, but evidently doesn't work very well. 4 in creativity. As for tolerability, I guess you can get jumped by one if you aren't paying attention, but it's hard to be annoyed by something that moves at the same rate that mold grows. 10 in tolerability and 34 overall. Fire Chomper. The Fire Chomper is a Chomper on fire. These elemental variants are so boring, man. What do I even say? I can see where the BFN crowd are coming from by saying, oh, most of the variants in Garden Warfare 2 are reskins. Well, I'd take 1,000 Fire Chompers over a single last bitch. I don't know, that's the only upgrade I remember. Should I make like a tier list on all the upgrades? I feel like that could be really funny. But anyway, you know, I actually like the way the Fire Chomper looks, so you know, 15. Fire Chomper is probably one of the better spray Chompers, also getting the advantage of fire damage, but it's still a Chomper, so it gets a 5. I'm gonna make like all the Chomper players like so angry.
All the Chomper players just come to my house. They're like an angry mob. They just stand on like a stall and none of them can get me.
Creativity-wise, the Fire Chomper is one of the more creative elemental reskin variants that plague this game. The weapon actually does something different to the stock variant, being a flamethrower instead of a flame bite. I'm going to assume the Fire Chomper was made before the other spray Chompers, because who thinks of an electricity thrower before a flamethrower? However, the existence of these 3 posers bumps the creativity score of the Fire Chomper down a bit, giving it a 10. Chompers are a really annoying class, and fire damage is also annoying. However, you can ignite people from across the map with this one, so it won't alter the score too much. Still only gets a 4 and 34 overall. Barbecue corn. I despise this character. Before I whinge though, I'll say the design of this wretched thing is kind of neat. Nice change of pace from the generic plant character if it was burning in agony that most of these designs have, even if it does deserve it the most. Instead, it's all wrapped up in aluminum foil slathered in barbecue sauce. Wish more elemental plants had more creative designs like this.
It gets 18.
This character is very, very easy to use. You could just sit back and burn everything and farm assists and shared vanquishes. So many times have I been fighting someone else and be met with this foily freak on the kill screen. They tried to nerf it without addressing the fact that no matter how bad you make the damage, one projectile is still gonna do that guaranteed 25 inescapable fire damage. Also, it has access to Shuck Shot and Husk Hop. 15. As much praise as I gave its design, the barbecue corn's weapon is not very creative. It's just the Cob Busters, but orange and on fire. Not to mention the fact that it's not only rapidly firing, but it's extremely accurate. Fire characters only need to hit you once to burn you, and this weapon is just not well thought out. Actual brain fart of a variant, so you get a 2. As for tolerability, as previously stated, I hate this character. It is one of the most lobotomite things I've ever seen. All you do is just sit back and spray everything with fire damage. This variant is the 3rd wheel of Garden Warfare 2, and if anyone gets near you, just push the kill people button. They're also extremely common, especially on the console version. You can always find some bozo playing as a maxed out barbecue corn sitting at the back getting 30 vanquish streaks every time and then going on online message boards complaining about how this abomination still isn't good enough for them. This thing's always at the bottom of tier lists when the only thing it should be at the bottom of is the La Brea tar pits. 0 intolerability, 35 overall. Rose. Rose looks alright if you ignore its face, because like, what is going on with that? They literally just put a normal human face onto a flower and called it a day. To be fair, they did that with like a lot of Garden Warfare 2 characters. They all have human teeth? What? Do they have skulls under there? The rest of the body looks fine. Like you got the wand as a stick, using Torchwoods for lumber. That's positive. 15 in appearance, and I'm only giving you that much because you still aren't the worst design for a Rose in this series. Viability-wise, Rose is probably one of the easiest classes to use because you just don't have to aim. Just jump around and look at people and they will eventually die. Sadly, Rose is pretty frail, but she does have 2 stuns and a button that makes you invincible. Hang on a second. 11 in viability. As I just said, Rose is basically an aerial Chomper that instead of instantly killing you will just make you want to die instead as you get snared and goated as the Rose skedaddles with her "I hate taking damage" button that makes her stop taking damage.
Also, she's just kind of boring.
You know you're washed when Battle for Neighborville made a better support mage class than you. A Rose tripped over and died so the wizard could ride his funny staff like a broomstick. Seems like the developers just said, hey, wouldn't it be funny if you could make people turn into goats? Like, that was a big part of the marketing of this game.
That's crazy.
It's not though, is it? 4 in creativity. How tolerable do you think a thin hitbox class that has floaty gravity, a homing weapon, 2 stuns, and an ability that lets her just leave is gonna be? Genuinely, on console, this thing was the bane of my existence. Using a controller to fight a Rose is like trying to swat a fly with a claw machine. However, on PC, she just dies because you just click on her head. So 6, 36 overall. Party corn. God, this thing is hideous. Why did they make it look like sushi? You know a party's about to get started when they bring out the raw fish. For some reason, in the sticker book, they just slapped a random bowl of cereal cosmetic over his render, and I find that really funny. So you get 5 points in looks because you're the only corn I could eat a box of Frosties out of. The normal corn is a pretty good class, and this thing trades 5 ammo for a 30-second long mode that plays cool music and makes him stronger, which is a fair downside, I guess. He's probably the best corn because the meter just being there just psychologically alters your brain to do better. Don't go and spam all your abilities and die on the point, otherwise you won't get the Neon Mixtape Tour OST. Don't need that 5 ammo anyway, you'll probably just miss. 20. However, sometimes Garden Warfare 2's iconic jank will just do this to you, and all that work will be for nothing. As for creativity, there's none, but you get bonus points for the legendary meter theme, so free. Tolerability wise, it's a corn that actively encourages a cowardly playstyle. Corn's supposed to be played by strolling down a huge sightline and getting eviscerated by a rocket like God intended, not barbecue corn tier gameplay just sitting around taking pot shots. 10 in tolerability and 38 overall. Toxic Pea. This is one of the best looking toxic variants in the game. Instead of being the Pea Shooter, but we knocked him out and drew over him with green Sharpies, they gave him this cool looking gas mask. I really like how it's just completely pointless. Like his snout, it's my pea hole, is bursting through it. Not like he's breathing through it. Just put it on for the aesthetic. 18 in appearance. As for viability, unfortunately it is just the normal Pea Shooter but worse. In Garden Warfare 1, this used to be one of the easiest characters to use in anything because it had the splash radius of an atom bomb, and the weird regeneration mechanics of that game meant that a lot of people were at low health, meaning you could just sit up high and throw green smog at people, which you can do in this game, but like, if you want to chip damage people, then just be the Fire Pea. Still gets like a 10 though, because it is just like, it's like the turn your brain off Pea. Well, One of them, anyway. As for the creativity of this weapon, weaker Peas with a debuff. Boring. 2. This is a Pea Shooter that I've grown more tolerant of over the years, mostly because it's been made redundant. Fired. The position of left side of the IQ score distribution graph Pea Shooter has gone to its newer, bluer cousin, but it still is a bit of a pain, so I don't know, 8? 38 overall? Better than Partycorn because I like its funny mask, and when I was 10 I got like 50 kills in one game, on Driftwood Shores, which firstly says a lot about how easy it is to use this character, and secondly, it made me feel proud. Chomp is covered in slop and grime and bugs.
In the files, these bugs are they're just birds. They're just birds.
Just a filthy bog creature, which fits the Chomper aesthetic quite well. So you get a 15 for that, you little muck-slathered mongrel. As for viability, Chomp is an interesting case. At first you see that 135 health on a melee character and think, this guy fucking sucks, but it has the best regeneration rate in the entire game. You ever get into a pickle, just hide in the ground and get all your health back. If you actually manage to make it into the ground, that is. Because the low health really hurts this guy. Why am I losing at close range to an imp? Alright, because this guy has the lowest health and damage per second out of all the spray chompers. 2. I think the chomp thing is a pretty unique gimmick because he just spews fecal matter on people. And the health regeneration thing is pretty unique too. Don't think any other character in this game has this, so you know what?
16 for creativity.
7 for tolerability because it's a chomper.
But it's very mediocre and weak and feeble. And 40 points overall.
Ice Pea. Oh my god guys, it's Snowy Joe! The Ice Pea's appearance is actually a clever reference to the ice shroom. So for repping such an underrated plant, you get, why isn't it called the Snow Pea? 17 in appearance. Ice Pea is a Pea Shooter, so already it's gonna be somewhat decent, because being a Pea Shooter variant is like being born into a rich family. Also, the ice gimmick plus the splash makes it quite threatening, which you won't see in this footage because they get into a long confrontation with this imp before just giving up and leaving. Amazing gameplay. I'm definitely qualified to rank these characters based on how good they are. So I don't know, 15 for viability because you can freeze people and drop bombs on them, which again you won't see in this footage
because I am bad at the game.
Creativity. It's the normal Pea Shooter weapon, but it's ice. 2. The Ice Pea could jump around and freeze you with splash damage, which actually doesn't sound fun at all. Would hate to be this outhouse zombie. 7. 40 overall. Fire Rose. Oh boy, I get to talk about the rose again. The Fire Rose is a rose. It's on fire. However, unlike most fire variants, seeing a rose burn in agony fills me with exuberant joy. Also, she has gems. Gem on her. 16. Fire Rose can launch giant fuck-off fireballs at people, which deal 50 damage, huge splash, and have homing, which is extremely funny, but she's still a rose, so like 10. This is where they realized, hang on a minute, we can do more things with our elemental characters. Shove a bit of charge up on there and you got yourself a nice weapon. I reckon the Fire Rose is at least somewhat creative, so another 10 for you. How tolerant of a giant fireball that follows you around and burns you would you be? In real life, like say a ball of fire is coming towards you and chasing you out of 25. How would you rate this experience? I'd say like 5. 41 overall. Ice Cactus, the first cactus of the list, which is good, because I like the cactus. I think the cactus is a funny looking little thing. Like this one, who looks like it's had its head shoved in a freezer for half an hour. Looks like a cartoon gag. However, at the end of the day, it is just a blue cactus with ice on it, so 13. Ice Cactus is probably good if you're good at the game, like, as you can tell from this gameplay, didn't go too well. To be fair, it's Walnut Hills, and I couldn't go more than 5 seconds without being harassed by a bloody foot soldier. You are getting such a low tolerability rank when I get to the zombies next time, if this video does well. And there's always a chance I could get captured and tortured by the 4 Toxic Chomper fans that exist, like what they did to Gerald Robotnik. Anyway, Ice Cactus can freeze things. You could also probably just like dump mines under their feet if they're really close to you, which sounds kind of funny. So 16, weaker cactus weapon that has ice, free, solely because the ice actually complements the cactus a bit. I don't know. The Ice Cactus is a sniper that can freeze you from miles away, so 9, solely because the cactus doesn't make me that upset, because the death screen shows me a cactus. 41. Druid Rose. Druid Woes. Oh my, what the fuck? Why can't I fucking pronounce Druid Rose? I might not like this character, but I'll tell you what, it looks pretty cool for a toxic character. They could have just went and made the rose green, but no, they gave it this cool druid mask, which not only hides Rose's face, it also recontextualizes the toxic damage as like the forest's curse or something. Because this thing does not have a toxic aura, maintains her hygiene, unlike the rest of these stinkers. 18 for looks. Druid Rose gets a 9 in viability because she's not that good, but she does excel at being a damned nuisance.
I know I penalized the Chomper for this, but like, at least Druid Rose could attack from more than 5 meters away, unless you remove your best ability for an ability that doesn't even kill the thing it's supposed to counter.
Instead of being the rose and green, and a bit worse, she just conjures up a massive storm of green and pelts it at zombies. And I find that really funny, combined with the fact that she doesn't have a toxic aura, implying she just enchants her weapon to be like that with some blightful hex. 11 in creativity. Speaking of blightful, Druid Rose is really annoying. I don't like being afflicted with the 4 great pestilences, so for that, you get 4. 42 overall. Fire Cactus. I don't know, like 13, because it looks like a flaming hot Cheeto, which reminds me that they put that in the game. Fire Cactus is funny against corner peeking zombies. You can just prod them a bit, and they go back off to stop, drop, and roll. And sniping's pretty good in this game, to be honest. So, 20. It's like the cactus, but on fight 2. As for tolerability, fire character and sniper 7, 42 overall. Frozen Citron. There used to be a frozen Citron that just sat in front of the split screen machine and just was like, I need my Menchie's TM frozen yogurt delivered. You need to deliver the Menchies. If this was Garden Warfare 1, would we have had the Menchtron? I don't know what Menchies even is. Is a yogurt parlor? The color scheme on the wall of the Menchies reminded me of the time I was at a bus stop and saw a woman with green hair talking to another woman with purple hair, and the first thing I thought about was the 52 rank plate. It might be time to stop playing this game. Anyway, this guy gets like 16, like his beard, like his yogurt stall, got nothing against him. They call the Iron Citron the mech breaker, when this thing is the mech hater. Just absolutely clowns on mechs with its blue beam. Honestly, a really powerful ice character, just because of how tanky and mobile Citrons are. 20. This is one of the only Garden Warfare 2 elemental variants to just be a lazy reskin. Should have spent all that yogurt money on a better gun instead of wasting it on getting that Mohawk styled. 2. This thing is an abhorrence. Just have a little ball run up to you and freeze you, and I really hate foot soldiers. Genuinely, I'm gonna take that stupid little rocket and shove it up your... Anyway, this thing gets a 5. 43 overall. Disco Chomper. This thing is hard carried by its design. Look at how cool it is. It's a disco ball chomper with these comical realistic teeth. Even has LEDs on him, and he's bald. Top marks for the Disco Chomper. However, everything else about the Disco Chomper is lacking. Really lacking for being classified as a legendary character. You will never get this guy's legendary mode unless the zombie team is losing horrifically. You have to swallow 5 entire people without dying to get Disco Fever. By the time I get it in this recording, the bloody match has 10 seconds left. Most of the time you just get clowned on constantly because the Chomper is about as sneaky as a tornado siren. So you ain't getting this legendary mode often, which means you're stuck with a slightly worse version of the normal Chomper. So a 1 inviolability, the only legendary variant that the Garden Warfare 1 plants have. So Garden Warfare 3 and they added the cubic P to the... Creativity-wise, this Chomper is basically just a party variant, but worse. Party characters they can just kill people, you know? It doesn't matter how. But this gluttonous glass git will only start blasting out music if you specifically feed it, which is a move that makes the Chomper vulnerable for a very long time. 5. And that's just points for trying. However, I find this to be one of the most tolerable Chompers because people are conditioned to play this guy super safe if they ever have a chance to listen to the Disco Chomper's anthem. So they always just try to sneak around. I have a distinct memory of this one Disco Chomper in like 2018 or 19 who was just always trying to sneak around the back of the spawn and pick people off. And I'd always just catch them until one time they got me. And I felt proud of them. Like they earned that meal. It's like with seagulls, you know? You got your Hot Rod Chomper and your Twilight Chompers that just dive bomb people for their Greg's pasties. Then you got the Disco Chomper, who's like those ones that live at the sea, that eat crabs and mussels. They work for their own food. And so for that, you get a 12 with a total score of 43. Plasma Pea. They ruined this guy's look in Garden Warfare 2. The audacity of changing the design of the character who won a design contest. And for what purpose? So people don't mistake it for the sodding Electro Pea. They don't even look the same. The only variant to make it into Battle for Neighborville as an uncommon pellet swap skin you get from the bloody gumball machine. 0. Viability wise, this is a contender for one of the strongest characters in this game. Can just charge up a fat blue pea that deals a massive amount of damage, and if you miss, then you basically just get a free 30 damage on whatever poor souls were in the surrounding area. Oh wait, my mistake. The initial impact does an additional 15 damage. So you can deal 45 damage despite not even landing the goddamn shot. Also, it's the only charge up character to not consume more ammo when it launches a charged shot, and it gets 0 movement penalties at all when it charges. All I'm saying is that they definitely had favorites when designing some of these characters. On the power scaling wiki, this thing is labeled as multiversal, and it's still arguably only the 3rd strongest Pea Shooter. 23 in viability. This is quite a creative character. I can see why it won that contest. Still gutted we never got the Pea Nutter.
I think you're nuts.
But a charge up Pea that fires an entire universe at someone is really funny. 20 in creativity. Too bad they ruined it.
Can't you morons do anything right?
Tolerability. This thing is really annoying, like really annoying. There is always one of these things present on the plant's team. Sometimes even more. Probably because it's extremely easy to use. 1 pestilent character. 44 overall.
Wait, what the hell is going on with his leg? What the hell?
Metal Petal. In Garden Warfare 1, I used to put this mask on the Metal Petal and call it the 5-Night Freddy flower. 20 in appearance. Looks like it just jumped into the tar pit in Hazy Maze Cave. Metal Petal is probably one of the better sunflowers if you want to support people, because it has one of the highest health pools in the game. This thing is almost as tanky as a Chomper. Sadly, this means that the Metal Petal is hit with the same baseball bat they hit Rock Pea and Armor Chomper's kneecaps with, so she's slower. However, like the Rock Pea, I guess you could also spam Sunbeam. 10. Armored variants are really boring. They just have more health and everything about them is slow. Slower damage output, slower walking speed. It's like playing the game on 50cc. 6. Metal Petal probably has the potential to be annoying because of its high health. Like, if there were 2 of these things pocketing each other, what would you do about it? You'd have to kill both of them within 2 seconds of each other, otherwise they're being reassembled immediately. I will put you back together. However, I don't think more than one of these things has ever been seen in a match ever. This might be one of the least played characters of all time in this game. 10, 46 overall. Frost Rose. She's got this this cool Ice Queen vibe going. Got the furry neck pillow, and she's blue. Solid 20 in design. Frost Rose is like the Fire Rose, where she has to charge up her weapon, but her charge shot has a frightening quality for Rose players, because you have to actually aim with it. Yeah, the charge shot doesn't have homing, which honestly makes it better because it doesn't take half an hour to reach the target. So it's one of the only Roses that can be threatening at longer distances. 11. I think making Fire and Frost Rose be parallels to each other is pretty cool. You get a bit more creativity points than your average Ice variant. 10. Yeah, this Rose has 3 studs. 3! That's quite horrible. 6 in tolerability. 47 overall. Party Citron. This is the best looking party variant, in my opinion, which is a bar that's so low that it's halfway through the Earth's mantle, but it doesn't hurt my eyes to look at, and it's purple. Also, the pattern on its ball form reminds me of the back of a bus seat. 15. I think Party Citron is just better than the normal one. I might be wrong. Let me check the Garden Warfare 2 stats site. Nope, they are completely identical, except the Party Citron has a legendary meter. Why would you ever use the normal Citron? You won't see any gameplay of the Party Citron's legendary mode though, because I suck at the game, I'm sorry. 19 in viability. Again, there's not really much creativity here. Don't understand why the characters we got for exploring an alternate dimension governed by an all-powerful eldritch being gives you a set of characters that looks like they've just fashioned one of the dogs from the Tweenies into a pelt. 3. Fuck, I'm fucking dying. Citrons in general are kind of annoying, but like, so is everything else in this game, let's be honest. It's got a lot of frustrating elements about it. Or maybe I'm just sad and resentful and spiteful and I don't experience any joy or happiness, because the only character so far to reach above a 20 in this category was the fucking Rock Pea. So I don't know, 10 for Party Citron, 47 overall. Jade Cactus looks like a Fortnite bonus style. In all seriousness though, it's got a nice shade of green, which is good, because it's the only shade this cactus has. I mean, it's got a cool samurai helmet, got some shoulder pads, looks like a low-level goon from a Lego Ninjago wave. Looks like it's just had its chi stolen by the cow from Kung Fu Panda 3. Looks like it's just been dragged out of a 3D printer. Looks like it just got a 14 in appearance. Jade Cactus is a sniper character, so it's probably good. I don't know, evidently from this recording it wasn't going too well, so I don't know, 14? Probably worse than the normal cactus. Might be too low, might be too high. But it's the fucking Jade Cactus, who cares? Jade Cactus's gimmick is delayed splash damage. If you miss, your shot sticks to the floor and it blows up. Wow. I guess if you hit someone, then it blows up immediately and affects other people, or you could lead your shots, but at that point, just shoot them. I guess it's similar to the Plasma Pea, except instead of the splash radius of a supernova, it has the splash radius of a clump of wet mud. Weirdly, it just doesn't have any projectile spread. I like how this variant is so forgettable that even the developers forgot to complete it. Could not butter toast with the shatter shot. 6 in creativity. Oh, and it's an armor variant, so you get 25 more HP and a 70 kilogram ankle weight. That health really came in handy a lot. I feel absolutely nothing when I get killed by a Jade Cactus. I just go, oh yeah, the Jade Cactus. That's a character that is in this game. So, I don't know, 14, 48 overall. Yeti Chomper. This design's good. In theory, is a Yeti and a Chomper, but it does kind of resemble a hairy scrotum, so I can only really give it a 9 for trying. Yeti Chomper is probably one of the strongest Chompers, because you can actually hit people from more than 5 zeptometers away, and it can freeze people. Another stun added to Chomper's repertoire. The only thing I dislike about using it is that these projectiles are about as dense as a neutron star and just flop down to the ground immediately. like a boulder. And that's the only thing heavy about these projectiles, because this damage is light. My favorite activity is spending about 4 hours trying to meticulously line up my shots to hit some bozo across the map. Usually it doesn't work out too well. Still, 15 in viability. Oh my god, an elemental variant of the Chomper that doesn't just vomit on people? About time. You've made it so the Chomper can consistently do something other than make people want to throw their controllers at someone. 20. Only reason it's not perfect is because... Free stuns for Chomper! Oh, I love being got and then frozen and then put in a spikeweed and devoured. What joy. 5. 49 total. Hot Rod Chomper. They just strapped a car battery to a Chomper, gave it aerodynamic racing stripes, and splashed it with gloss, and it makes car revving sounds when it bites. Amazing. 23. Again, one of the better Chompers, since it can move around pretty fast, making it one of the most effective Chompers at kamikazing into a group of zombies. Sadly, it has two things holding it back. 1, it has a pitiful amount of health. 2, it's been made redundant by this recolored wretch. Now the Twilight Chomper is the best Chomper at getting 1 kill and dying. Hot Rod Chomper is washed, an old model. Twilight is the 2025 Honda Civic, and the Hot Rod Chomper is the rentable 27-year-old car you find parked on a pile of bricks on the side of the road because its wheels got stolen.
6.
This is a funny character. It's just a car Chomper. I know Sprint Burrow is an awful ability, but I put it on Hot Rod Chomper anyway because it's really funny just zooming around at Mach 5. The only other speed-based variant they created was the Tennis Star, which is... well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
What a terrible waste.
So in comparison, Hot Rod is getting a 20, a perfect character for if you want to make someone upset and you're broke. As for the tolerability of the Hot Rod Chomper,
Nothing!
49 total. Kernel Corn! Yeah, this is a really weird design. What is this? Why does it have the has-been hotel proportions? Why has it got human teeth? It looks like a dog that's just been dunked in a bathtub. Those neck leaves are really carrying its design. How did you get from the kernel pulp to this? Also, this brown thing on the back of its head looks like a dead zigzagoon. 10. Corn is probably one of the better plant classes since it's basically just a plant foot soldier. The only thing we had equivalent to a basic full auto character before this on the plant side was the Commando Pea, which was pretty decent, was nowhere near as good as most of the soldiers. So 19 for the Kernel Corn. Creativity wise, it's literally just a bulkier foot soldier. Automatic primary weapon, smoke grenade, but it fucking kills you. Rocket jump, but it fucking kills you. And ZPG, but it fucking kills you twice. 10. At least they tried to differentiate it more than they did with the bloody wildflower and TV head. Actually criminal that the only update character that the plants got in that game was this smug yellow prick. Though I think if they went with the original plan and added the super bean, the game's player base would have dropped from double digits to single digits, because what is this monstrosity? Kernel Corn is one of the only characters in this game to just have every single one of its abilities just kill you immediately. Some of its variants are more irritating than the average one, so 11. We're up to the 50s now. Chester Chomper. This is the funniest character in the series. They just put Chester Cheetah on a Chomper, but it doesn't stop there because we got the cheesy goop and the Chester weed. The Chesterweed! I have never seen a brand deal produce such a beautiful creation since the Chester Chomper. 25. Sadly, the Chester Chomper is sealed away within Garden Warfare 1 because they lost custody of him in a divorce, so it's stuck with the burden of being a Chomper in Garden Warfare 1, which is even worse than the one in Garden Warfare 2. But of course, this is completely hypothetical, because I'm completely alone again. Also, this guy has less health than the normal Chomper because it swallows zombies slightly faster. Oh, you deserved better than this, my guy. I'm gonna have to give you a 0. I'm sorry. Whilst the gimmick of the Chester Chomper is mediocre, its abilities, which I know they could just be put on every Chomper, but come on, it gave us the Chesterweed. That's at least worth a 10. As for tolerability, even if it is a Chomper, how can you be upset by being presented with this happy face on the kill screen? If you're getting tilted over the bloody Chester Chomper, then you are a bitter, joyless husk of something that cannot be considered human. Only not a perfect 25, because when you play as it, you're playing as a Chomper in Garden Warfare 1, 50 overall. Sunflower. The sunflower looks like something pretending to be a sunflower. With its soulless eyes and nefarious grin, it looks like it killed the original sunflower 10 years ago and is wearing its skin. 15. I've said this before, but the sunflower is a powerful healer. Any of your teammates die and you can just drag them back into this world against their will. Not only that, but you can heal yourself with this little marigold, who in this game gives you healthcare instead of money. So I reckon a solid 15 in viability. The sunflower's ability set is a bit weird, but the heal beam's pretty cool, you know? Heal flower, you know, is pretty good too. But why did they just give it Pea Gatling? Sunbeam is just Pea Gatling but worse. And it's using the green one. But a stationary turret mode where you can't heal your allies is a bad ability to have on a character that needs to keep up with its allies and heal them. Still, this is pretty alright, I guess. Get like, I don't know, 11? Sure. Sunflowers are like flies. If there's one buzzing around, it's a bit annoying, but you can easily deal with it if you throw like a brick. I don't know. But when there's multiple, you just want to get an entire can of Raid and just douse the room in toxic chemicals. But this one in particular is like a 10 on the tolerability scale. 51 overall. Mob Cob. What if instead of Mob Cob, he was called Hop Cob? And they boiled instant noodles on him. Mob Cob is the best looking corn, in my opinion. Just a grunt, a goon, a crook, a beatnik. Looks like he belongs in a packet of Bassett's. Solid 20. What isn't solid, however, is everything else about Mob Cob, because he's just
an objectively worse version of the corn.
Because it shoots slower and has a lower damage output.
Oh my bad, it actually has slightly increased range. It's so nice to have a corn that can attack at longer ranges.
Still, it is a corn. It's not that bad, it's just redundant. No wonder why it turned to a life of crime. 14. Why would you ever use this? Oh right, because of its wacky and zany gimmick. Projectile penetration. This is genuinely worthless. Oh wow, I can hit 2 zombies that are standing in an orderly queue. When will that happen? They really give some of these variants the coolest designs just to hit them with the creative bankruptcy stick. 5, and only because you could shoot through that stupid lumbering fat-ass Torchwood that won't move out the way, is a worse version of the corn, so it's slightly more tolerable at 12. 51. Power Cactus. I know earlier I said that I like the power variants in Garden Warfare 1 more, but
I like this one more.
before it looked like the Herobrine equivalent of the Ice Cactus, but now it's got this nice blue hue. Love me a bit of blue. Also it has a plug in its snout. I really want to shove the Power Cactus into a socket. 15 in appearance. I wouldn't be laughing at this plugged up pickle when it's dishing out 88 damage a second. And whilst the chain damage might not be that useful, it's still there. So 21 in viability. Unlike these two creatively bankrupt power variants, the Power Cactus actually has a whopping 1 other unique thing about it other than the electric chain damage. She straight up just fires faster. Still, it's not the most groundbreaking thing in the world, but you're in the upper band of elemental reskin variants in this category, so 7. Whilst I have been slandering the electric chain damage this entire video, taking damage because some dumbass on your team decided to stand out in the open, scratching his ass is a bit annoying. 10. 53 overall. Unicorn Chomper. We're not even in the top 25, and we're already at the last Chomper. They turned bloody Bjorn from Peggle into a Chomper. That's so funny. I was so upset that they didn't make a max rank reward for BFN. We could have had the big money engineer. Also, just look at it.
Soldier, the horse is here.
A design so iconic, they sold a recolor of it for £6. A solid 20. Unicorn Chomper is probably like the second best Chomper to use because it can teleport around, and unlike that bum Twilight Chomper, Unicorn can go in, kill someone, and leave. However, it's still a Chomper, so it's not gonna do that well. But it still gets like, I don't know, 13 in viability. Adding a reward for getting max rank in the previous game is kinda cool, so the fact that it is basically just a default Chomper with a recolored scientist ability can be overlooked. Because you don't want to give it too much, but it is also really lame and boring that you can't even get it anymore, so I can't really give it any higher than a 15. I personally never actually got this character because the Garden Warfare 1 level up tasks are so ass. Sorry, but you didn't get 250 critical hits on the cacti with the painter whilst holding the controller with your toes and being slowly dunked into a vat of hydrochloric acid. No horse for you. Go into the bargain bin and grab out the Funko action figure Wave 4 tie-dye unicorn chomper. But hang on, Purple Zombie, if you never unlocked it, how are you playing as it right now?
You know, one thing I should... Excuse me for 1 second. Of course.
Whilst the teleporting chomper sounds mortifying, this thing is so uncommon that it's hard to get mad at. So you're like,
Wow, I can't fucking get that, you prick!
so I don't know, 6. 54 overall. Shadow Flower. I'm a simple man. I see glowing blue evil flower with a face mask and I approve. Genuinely one of the coolest looking plants in this game. A perfect 25. Shadow Flower is basically a side grade to the regular sunflower. A higher rate of fire, but her bullets are a bit slower and fall off at a shorter distance.
Oh, someone's upvoting the fucking turrets again!
Basically a slightly more close-range sunflower, 15 in viability. Also, apparently, under extreme stress, the shadow flower has the ability to...
This game is a fucking miserable mess!
Anyway, her weapon is kind of underwhelming from a creative standpoint. Like, she just fires a bit faster. Wait, she shoots 6.66 shots a second? Was that intentional or just a coincidence? Keeping on brand, you get a 6 in creativity. Since it's basically the stock sunflower that looks like it's been possessed by the overlord from Ninjago, it's about as tolerable as it. So 10, 56 overall. Popscorn. It looks like it's just stuck its face in a bucket of toffee popcorn. I guess it doesn't really have a choice though, considering that his hands are paper bags. 20. One of the most edible looking plants in this game. Popscorn is supposed to be like a long range corn with its increased zoom, but it does a pitiful amount of damage compared to the other corns. Still, it's a corn, so it can always just do that. Not that bad. 15. It's popcorn, and its weapon goes pop, pop, pop. Very clever. Only critique is that the weapon feels like
ass. I don't know why, it just feels like ass. I don't like it. 13.
For the notes on tolerability, I just put and yeah, it's fine. It's like a sniper, but it's not as strong compared to some of the better snipers in this game. It's basically a neutered cactus with 3 win buttons if you get near it. So 12, 60 overall. Citrus Cactus. Citrus Cactus got the same score as Popscorn, but I thought it'd be funny to put it 1 space above him, since this is what Popscorn is trying to be. A mediocre free burst sniper. Citrus Cactus's design is... oh, they skinned it. They skinned the cactus alive. Its flesh is visible. Hello, Aquafina?
how would you like us to represent your brand in our new game?
Make the cactus orange and remove its skin. 15 in appearance because it's really funny. This cactus sucks ass. 54 damage per second. It's supposed to kill people, not lightly tickle them. Oh, you get splash damage, do you? Well, that explains it. You're the baby's first cactus, a transitional character you pick when you're 10 years old and gotten bored of sitting on high places and raining down green balls with the Toxic Pea, the cactus equivalent of training wheels. 5 in viability. As for its creativity, the citrus cactus fires in bursts, like how you get a burst of flavor when you're drinking Aquafina Flavor Splash. So you're getting 15. This is probably the most tolerable character in the series. Is the orange cactus. It does pitiful amounts of damage, and when you get killed by it, you get to see a skinned pickle. You ain't feeling anger looking at this. You're gonna be feeling fear. 25, 60 overall. Electro Pea. Oh god. The Electro Pea looks really good actually. Sure, they just made the Pea Shooter blue and fashioned literally everything on its body into a lightning bolt, but it's genuinely a really cool design for a character. 23. My only critique is that it looks like its eyes are being forced open, like it's in a permanent state of shock. And not because, haha, it's an electric variant, but because it probably took a look at its stats. Because what is this? These are some of the most over-bloated stats in this game. Why does it do 27 entire splash damage for detonating its shots?
Oh, because you need skill to be able to time the detonations of the shots perfectly, and
No, you do not! This is the most generous thing in existence. You could just jump around people and mash the shoot button and you will get results. Not only that, but it has more speed? What? Why? It never tells you this in the game. This is just a thing that it has. Oh, also,
1 second reload.
this is a contender for the most brain-dead Pea Shooter in this game, and anyone who tells you that this requires a lick of brain power did not pass their GCSEs or aren't old enough to have even attempted them. Just own it, man. Everyone knows it's easy to use. 23. Still, there are like 3 Pea Shooters that are better than this one, which really goes to show how much the Pea Shooter is carrying the entire plant team. I mean, the detonatable shot mechanic is cool. You just didn't need to make it do that much damage. But you know, 18 for effort. However, whatever PopCap employee just decided to sneak in a 15% movement speed bonus should not be allowed near any game development software again. How tolerable is a agony in Pea Shooter form?
61.
Toxic Citron. They turn the orange into a lime. Amazing. 20 in appearance. The Toxic Citron leaves behind little clouds of toxic gas.
I don't think you're allowed to do that, Toxic Citron.
However, despite the sheer quantity of 2s on my screen, this doesn't actually deal that much damage unless the zombie is stood still like a moron. So sadly, the Toxic Citron is probably the weakest of these orange fellows. Only thing this is good for is farming assists. If you like getting the boast equivalent of a participation award, then Toxic Citron is for you. But for me, it's a 10 in viability. This is a lime that throws tear gas at people. 17 in creativity. Apparently they were really afraid of people going in the ball and running around and killing someone with the toxic aura over the course of an entire week. So they spray it with deodorant whenever it's in its ball and remove its aura. This is probably the most tolerable Citron, mostly because it's not that good. Like, they'll just be chilling around the back and scurry away when provoked. 15. 62 overall. Stuffy flower.
It's like some kind of PVZ plush.
Covered in patches and breaking apart. This thing looks like it be put in a box in an attic for 23 years and have the most musty odor 21 in appearance. The Stuffy flower is basically just a normal variant, but slightly better. Like, yeah, it has 10 less ammo, its shots are ever so slightly closer range, but it just does a bit more
Are you fucking kidding me?
damage per second on top of converting the corpses of zombies into health packs. 16 in viability. Harvesting the life force of zombies is a funny gimmick for this innocent looking plush doll to have. A solid 15 in creativity. Can't go higher than this though, because other than going around eating rotting corpses, she doesn't really do that much. Just another fast firing sunflower. Since she's so similar to the stock flower, she can get the same tolerability score as her. 10. 62 overall. Electro Citron. Why does it kind of look like the shadow flower with its blue complexion and its black mask? I mean, it works. It does look like an electric citron. I would charge my phone off of that guy. 20. Electro Citron can deal 90 damage in a single shot. That's deleting every single imp in existence and leaving scientists on the hospital bed in critical condition. Also, I find spamming the middle charge shot to be effective. Can quickly take 60 damage chunks out of people. This Citron can be extremely powerful in the right hands. Only issue is that you have to be really close to people and have good accuracy, but it's a fair trade-off compared to the abomination that this character used to be in earlier versions of this game, which was basically a 200 health future cactus with wheels, but it's still like 20. What if the Plasma Pea had electric damage? That's the Electro Citron. It's pretty cool how it's not just the Citron with a blue laser, but it's
I hate this guy.
13. The tolerability of an Electro Citron depends entirely on what character you are. If you're an imp and you're fighting one of these, you probably want to wring the neck of the person behind the controller after a couple of instant death blasts. But if you're a higher health character, then the Electro Citron is nowhere near as big as a threat. So I reckon that rounds it out to like a 10 and a 63 overall. Vampire Flower. The Vampire Flower is the only character in this game that will get you a public misdemeanor for Googling on a bus. Never leave a Plants vs. Zombies fan alone in Cadbury Garden Center. However, in comparison to other sunflowers, top tier design. 25. Shame that I say if I like this character's design, people get the wrong idea. It's a shame that the Vampire Flower's design is wasted on this asinine weapon.
What?
It does low damage, and it has the lowest health out of any plant in the game. And the only upside it has is that it gets like a third of the damage it deals back in health, which would be good if you didn't get obliterated in nanoseconds by anything. Also, instead of giving normal projectiles to it,
This game's really not playable anymore, is it?
because of the vampirism thing, they gave it missiles, which is the projectile type that ZPG uses, which has notoriously bad hit registration. So sorry, Vampire Flower. 10 in viability. Still not the worst vampire character in the game, so you have that. Still, this was a pretty creative idea for a variant, Count Chompula, but instead of having to swallow things whole, she has to spit on them. 18. The Vampire Flower is probably one of the less annoying vampire flowers. What? The Vampire Flower is probably one of the less annoying flowers because it dies faster. However, because it makes me think of the most
Not funny people!
gets a 10. 63. Commando Pea. Why does his mouth look like a wind instrument? He looks like if he whistles, he'd start playing medieval tavern music. I do like his banana peel headband though. That's pretty chucklesome. The grass blade hair. 21 in design. Hey, so what if we put the foot soldier on the plant team but made him ass? Why did they do this to the Commando Pea? Also, doesn't help that his damage literally halves at a measly 40 meters away. He's the worst of the splash damageless peas by a country mile, but he's still good. The other ones are just horrendously busted. He's still my favorite out of every pea in the game. 12. Deserved so much more. Commando Pea isn't technically that creative because it's basically just a foot soldier primary on a pea shooter, but he still gets like a 10. And It may be biased as hell, but I love seeing Commando Peas running around. Really endearing looking guys. Also, he doesn't have splash damage and doesn't kill you in 0.75 seconds, so I think a 20 in tolerability. 63 overall. Again, this is a really flawed grading system. Nec'rose. Nec'rose uses the normal rose's hideousness to its advantage. It's an evil, cackling witch of a character, coated in probably one of the best looking outfits in the game. Look at that crown. Also, it's purple. 19 in appearance. I don't think it's controversial to call this the best rose in the game. If you get hit by a charge shot from this thing, you're done. You're taking like double damage. Not only that, but it bypasses every single armor modifier in the game. Basically a way of telling your allies, yeah, kill that guy now. 20. Yeah, this is probably one of the most creative characters in this game. I think they could have toned it down a bit with a Jinx buff, but yeah, good concept, and you get to make zombies purple. What's not to love? 21. But oh my goodness gracious, this is one of the most annoying roses for obvious reasons. It basically just sends a firing squad after you. Also, when I looked up a reference image of it, I spelt it wrong and it started showing me images of Nec'rose, another character that I wouldn't Google in a public space. 65 overall. Citron. I have notes that I made like months ago for each character, and for the Citron's appearance I put, and I quote, looks like a horrific millennial spider. I think that really says it all. It gets like a 12. It looks weird. Ball's kind of cool though. Don't know how they managed to go from PvZ2 to this. Oh, it looked really weird in that game as well. The Citron is a good class. You got the ball to get near people or run away from people or orbit around the capture point like a celestial body. You can also just use the stun button to instantly win, so I reckon like 18, and that's only because Party Citron just straight up outclasses him. There is no reason to use this guy over the Party Citron at all. Better get in that bull form and roll down to get those dole payments. Citron is really cool conceptually. Just this tanky guy that can roll around in his funny little ball. Also, it gets a shield. That's pretty good. At least they didn't give the shield 600 health, so it gets a 22 in creativity. The only things bringing it down are it being a close range specialist character with a laser. Give this man a shotgun. Also, EM Peach is lazy. Just give them the sonic grenade. Citrons are really annoying. They have a load of health, can run away really easily, and can stun you. Still does not hold a candle to how annoying this bastard is in Battle for Neighborville, but still 10, 66 overall. Commando Corn. What previous war did Commando Corn fight in to get all these injuries? Because it certainly wasn't Garden Warfare 1. Was my man on the roofs of the PvZ1 house got a camper van to the head. 20 in design. Commando Corn is probably good. I don't know, I don't really see much discourse about him. Perfectly serviceable corn variant. Definitely better than these two. Maybe better than Barbecue. I don't know. He does get a legendary meter, which gives him a ton of ammo. Does good amounts of damage. There's a bit of splash. 17, I reckon. Slower firing weapon that deals more damage. You're basically just a Mob Cob if it was good. Mafia Boss Cob. 17. It's a corn, so I don't know, like 12? Sure. 66 overall. Iron Citron. Contender for a best character design in the game? Turned a goofy spider orange into an imposing battle tank. This is a type of design I think of when I think legendary character. 25, having the second highest health pool out of any plant. He's basically a Torchwood that can roll around. His weapon is kind of mediocre though. Like, yeah, it does 50 damage immediately, but it's basically just a weaker version of the tank commander. Except if you kill 5 people, and then you get to enter super death mode, where you kill everyone with 5 nuclear bombs. So 18. Yeah, this is like the one armored variant in the game that actually does something unique. Like, they could have just made it a grey Citron beam that deals slightly less damage. But no, they made it have the mech breaker, which ironically is kind of abysmal against mechs. And a legendary mode just giving you 5 ammo That's genuinely so funny. You go from hitting 50 damage in a clip to 250. That's killing basically everything immediately. Ironically, except for mechs. 18. This thing's really unfun to fight. It's a 250 health character with stun mechanics that can turn into a ball and chase you down or run away. And if you let it run away, then it'll probably come back at some point with its 5 live grenades and kill you in half a second. 5. 66 overall for the 3rd time. Alien flower. Why is it looking at me like that? Looks like a spore decoration page creature part. Alien flower is a hideous freak. And you know what? I love it. It's such a funny creature. 23 in appearance. Only not 25 because I don't like its horrible veiny stem. Alien flower is decent. You can do some silly shenanigans with the smog that gets left behind by its projectiles. Still she.
Oh my.
What if instead of Baron von Betch, he was called Baron von Byzantium? Why am I being cursed by an invincible purple zombie? Is this like a manifestation of my sins given physical form? But anyway, I reckon a 14 in viability. Having a sunflower that just fires mold spores at people is genuinely funny as hell. Reckon it gets a 15 for that. This flower has like the potential to be annoying, I guess. Like if you just want to scratch your ass and stand still for a bit, then alien flower is on your case. But it looks funny, so 15. 67 overall. Camo Cactus. It's a hedge with a comically large nose. I am being haunted. 25. Sadly, the Camo Cactus is basically just a normal cactus, but it outputs damage slower. It's basically a hard mode cactus. As you can see here, I am not worthy enough to wield the mantle of the Camo Cactus, as I get spawn camped. It's like the Mob Cob, where it might be inferior, but it's still alright. Unlike the Mob Cob, though, it feels more satisfying to kill people with than the normal variant, in my opinion. I really enjoy playing as this one. 15. This is a cool idea for a character. Basically a cactus that invested all of its stats into its nose. Very good at sniping, not good at much else. 16. As for how tolerable it is, randomly dropping 66 health out of nowhere is genuinely scary, but it looks really funny, so it doesn't make me that upset to die to one. Also, when playing this character, I sometimes forget this thing needs to be sealed away at the back of the map and overstep my boundaries. Move! 11. 67 overall. Petrified Cactus.
Okay, guys, we need one more cactus variant for the second game. What should we do?
Coastal Cliff. It's got a nest of nondescript rodent creatures on its head and a snake belt. Just need some seabirds and it's all good. 15 in appearance. Petrified Cactus is basically like what would happen if they dunked Electro Pea into a vat of concrete and broke its kneecaps. It has detonation like the Electro Pea, but it doesn't have the insane speed. Its projectiles still do an obscene amount of damage though, but it's less egregious on this character because it's a slow-moving tank. 32 splash damage? What the hell are they putting in these eggs? Like an 18. This cactus launches unborn children at enemies. 25 in creativity. I feel like Petrified Cactus is the most tolerable detonation character. Captain Cannon can have a hover goat glued to him. An Electro Pea. So 10, 68 overall. Mystic Flower. Whilst you could say that the Mystic Flower is a regular sunflower that looks like it's been scribbled on with bioluminescent chalk. I don't know, man, I like it. I like how it gets comically over-the-top effects when it charges up, so 20. Mystic Flower does the highest damage per second out of any sunflower, obviously making it one of the better ones. Is a little difficult to use with the slow-moving projectiles, but just like, be good and you'll do well. What a fucking amazing piece of advice that is. If you do well, you'll do well. 18 in viability. Mystic Flower is a charge-up character akin to Plasma Pea and Future Cactus. And it is fun just smacking some unfortunate specimen with a blinding holy light. 21. Again, I'm just gonna give the Sunflower a 10 in tolerability for reasons that have already been discussed. 69 overall. Bandit Cactus. What if the cactus committed highway robbery? I always like it when they represent a character's gimmick on their design, and every time she reloads, she makes this noise. Perfect. 25. So that mask is concealing nothing. The Bandit Cactus is another close-range cactus like that boulder one. The issue with this, though, is that cactus doesn't really have the mobility to be running and gunning. It would not have killed you to give the Bandit Cactus a bit of a speed boost. You gave that bum Electro Pea faster speed. Send some of that mileage to the Bandit Cactus. 13. This is another one of those weapons where you get what they were going for, but it could have been better. Like, I know they can't be throwing out exclusive abilities willy-nilly, but I don't know, man. Could have had the Bandit Cactus have a getaway car made entirely out of walnuts, like a Villager News-esque vehicle. 12. Who the hell is getting upset at the Bandit Cactus? 20. Getting into the 70s now. Pea Shooter. Looking at some of the concept art for this game,
I think this is probably the best they could do.
even if it does look like a midlife crisis balding repeater, but it makes little trumpet sounds when it does anything. Throw in a Count Chompula, and you've got yourself the perfect tune to play at a military funeral. Full marks for the Pea Shooter. The Pea Shooter is most certainly the best out of the plant classes in this game. Just being a variant of this guy is good enough to get you at least a 10 on the viability score, unless you look like grime scraped from the inside of a drainage pipe. There are certainly better Pea Shooters to play, but there are also worse ones, so you get a 17.
Oh, I think the Pea Shooter is a pretty decent little set of abilities.
Could just whip out one of those defecating beans from PvZ2 that acts like a hydrogen bomb, and sometimes it just acts like a cartoonish springboard. You got Pea Gatling, which lets you shred things in a femtosecond at the cost of being magnetically attracted to every ZPG in a 5-mile radius, but Hyper's just some boring stat modifiers, and it turns the Pea Shooter from a solid character into the shooting game equivalent of a brain tumor. Why does it last almost 8 entire seconds? Also, I suck at doing the beam jump. 18. The normal Pea Shooter is a genuinely infuriating class to go against, but the knowledge that a stock Pea Shooter user was merciful enough to use this one and not literally any other Pea Shooter, which are much more unfun to play against, except for Commando and the one that looks like the inside of a gone-off Toblerone, makes it look more tolerable by comparison. So 12. 72 overall. Sun Pharaoh. If you've watched my other rankings before, you know I'm a sucker for ancient Egyptian themed characters, and the Sun Pharaoh does not miss another sunflower with a perfect score. Sun Pharaoh seems like it could be good, has one of the higher damage outputs of the sunflowers. Don't really know though, barely anyone uses it because despite its amazing design, it's just another burst variant, which, with one exception, are always kind of mediocre. A solid B-, I reckon. 15. Okay, the Cobra laser is cool and alright, but what if it shot evil fucking scarab beetles? Because right now, all it shoots is yellow and blue projectiles hitting people with the Homer Simpson beam.
12.
Kinda has the excrement pea effect where it's so uncommon that you can't help but smile when you see one. More likely to see King Tut himself walking around the Time Park gift shop than one of these things. 20. 72 overall. Future Cactus. This design is genuinely amazing, even if it does look like it's just been fished out of parts and service. Looks like it'd be tricked by the Freddy Fazbear mask. 25. Leaves half the zombie roster on death's door after a single hit, and all you have to do is press that trigger one more time to make those 125 health characters drop dead. Scientists and imps tell stories around the campfire about Future Cactus. You never know when one's gonna show up and reduce your cranium to a fine paste. 22. This character's charge up mechanic actually fits the future cactus so well. Like it's this cactus sent back from the future to kill Pylon Imp as a baby to stop the Conehead administration from occurring. So it's gotta be stealthy. All it needs is a single blast and it's over. A perfectly adapted predator. Like introducing a bobcat to an uninhabited island with 3 subspecies of woodpecker. 23. The problem with being such a frightening menace is that the future cactus is the most obnoxious cactus to fight in this game. The only characters that don't die in 0.5 seconds to this thing are All-Star and Super Brains. 3. 73. Law Pea. The Law Pea is a funny cowboy hat, and it looks like you could twang its nose on the edge of a table like a ruler. Even has a bit of white facial hair.
Fear the old man in the profession where men die.
5 seconds upon spawning in. 21. The Law Pea has the unique mechanic of instantly dropping almost every zombie in the game in half a second. If you land all 6 shots, this thing does 159 damage almost instantly. Of course, you need to be good at the game to pull this off, which... I am not. You also need to give yourself carpal tunnel syndrome to play the Law Pea at its max efficiency. Mash that mouse button faster than the developers were mashing the keyboard designing the Twilight Chomper's stat distribution. Only character that is an active health risk to the player. Or just be a loser and use a fucking modded controller or an auto clicker. 25 in viability. The Law Pea is a very creative Wild West themed character with his little revolver. That's pretty funny. I think it gets 25 in creativity. This is the Pea that can just look at you and you die, so it's not going to be very fun to fight, is it? Usually, for a fun and engaging confrontation, you have to actually fight back, which is hard to do from beyond the grave. 3. Only reason it's not a 0 is because good Law Pea players are rare. Certainly one of the more difficult characters to play, because if you're mediocre at the game like me, then the only thing you're annoying is yourself. 74 overall. Agent Pea. Okay, the design for the Agent Pea is just genuinely amazing. It looks like it's smoking a cigarette. A chance of lung disease is a good metaphor for what it's like to fight an Agent Pea, but we aren't talking about that yet. 25. Name sounds like it's about to fight Dr. Doofenshmirtz. And with that 151 damage per second, the Doctor might as well just fucking retire. This thing has no purpose doing more damage than most Z-Mechs. If you can aim properly, you've basically just won. With that reduced health, he's less of a glass cannon and more of a glass thermonuclear bomb. In a 1v1 scenario, you're probably gonna win if you can land a few shots.
Hi, Purple Zombie here. I feel like I should explain the joke. You see, I'm dog shit again!
But yeah, in the right hands, this might be the best character in the game. But evidently, my hands are not right. I'd say I'm washed, but I don't think I was ever dirty. Anyway, easiest 25 of my life. And you know what? Another 25 in creativity. Make it a character that rewards headshots on the move. That's pretty satisfying. Can see why all the greasy gills of the Garden Warfare community love this hair gel little dicky bow guy. Also for a weapon called the Pea Silencer. It sure is loud. However, Agent Pea being the best variant of one of the most abundant, obnoxious character classes is going to rank so low in tolerability. It's basically an easier to use version of the Law Pea, so I think it gets a 0 in tolerability.
75.
Zen Cactus. I know it's yet another cactus that looks like a rock, but I don't know, man. I love this design. With the orbs flying around it that show your ammo count in the hood. And the third eye. Got the Lego movie Vitruvius thing going on with its glowing white eyes.
I made it up.
What?
I made it up. It's not true.
a solid 25 in appearance. This is one of the most underrated characters in the game in my opinion. Yeah, there are better cacti, but this thing is still a menace, being able to kill a lot of characters in 2 or 3 shots. So I reckon a solid 18 for the Zen Cactus. This is one of the most creative characters in the game. Like, it has 5 orbs orbiting around it to represent its ammo, so the zombies have some indicator of when they're about to get obliterated by a boosted full power shot. A technique they definitely could have adopted for a certain Battle for Neighborville upgrade. 25. I reckon it gets a 13 in tolerability because, I don't know man, I don't get that annoyed by them. I like how I say this and give them half the score. I guess I just get annoyed really easily. Look man, this Plants vs Zombies shit gets serious, alright? It's still a sniper that can drop you in a second, but I rarely see anyone playing as it. 81 overall. So what is my favorite playable plant in Garden Warfare 2? She has had many titles in her time. Mrs. Prickles, Spiked Specialist, The Pickle, or the derogatory Dumb Camping Meanie, but her one true name is the Cactus. Just look at this design. Look at it. Everything she does puts a smile on my face. Look at her move around. Look at her ragdoll. Even in death, the cactus is spreading joy. Simultaneously, a perfect transition from the original game, and just a really good design in general. Without this game, the cactus would be a nobody. A slightly more expensive Pea Shooter from the fog level, but this was the perfect choice for a sniper character and cemented the cactus as a mainstay in the franchise. 25 full marks. And those spikes ain't just for show. The cactus might be an amusing little fellow, but she could just kill you so quickly. A dangerous character. 82 damage per second from across the map, and even then, this is a character viable in another sector. Comedy. The sheer comedic potential of the cactus is unmatched, whether it be defecating potato mines in fear, stacking golden nuts into a monolith of power, carrying people with drones, killing people with drones, its funny as hell voice, its nose that just flops around like a pool noodle, or the simple yet effective comedic genius of modding the game to remove her arms. A perfect 25 in viability for being funny and fearsome. In creativity, oh my god. Best ability loadout. Every ability is a reference to a PvZ1 plant. We got the potato mine. People stepping on mines and just flying in the air is so funny. They turned the garlic into an agent of the United States. And the walnuts, look at them. Another 25 for the cactus. Tolerability? I own my entire success to the cactus. My channel would be dead in a ditch if I didn't remove the cactus's arms in 2021 and put in loads of variants.
The pickle can only move when jumping. Shoot explosive humor that deals the...
I cannot in good grace say that the cactus annoys me, because without it, I would be nothing. Instead of making content, I'd be making 5-piece chicken select meals for McDonald's patrons. 25, perfect score all around for the cactus. 100, the only character that will ever get triple digits. Well, that's it for this video, and I cannot stress this enough, but please don't take this too seriously. But yeah, thanks for watching to the end, and remember to like and subscribe, otherwise you'll make the cactus sad. And no one wants to make the cactus sad, do they? If this video does exceptionally well, then I'll get to work on the zombie side sooner. But there's other things I'd like to talk about first, so goodbye.